Hey YouTubers, before we start, I'm gonna review Justice Society World War II, the new DC animated movie. So I actually like this new animated movie. Oh sorry, I wanna review two movies today. Okay? So anyway, Justice Society World War II is basically about how the Flash ends up on an alternate universe and teams up with the Justice Society. And then by the end of the movie, he gets the idea to like form the Justice League. Okay, that's it. Check out Justice Society World War II. Anyway, today I want to review what is that movie? Spider-Man 2, directed by Sam Raimi. So I saw Spider-Man No Way Home. I'm not going to spoil it because of course there's still some people that haven't seen it. But anyway, all I can say is it made me rewatch most of the Spider-Man movies. I didn't watch it yet because they took the Amazing Spider-Man off Xfinity. They'll put it back on. But anyway, I feel like Spider-Man 2 definitely improves on the first one. Better action. Like I said when my Spider-Man 1 review, there's just better action in this movie. And Spider-Man's costume was different. You can't tell, but they actually made the suit a little lighter because it was kind of like a dark blue. They kind of made it lighter blue. Little lighter blue. Yeah. So basically it picks off like how the first movie left off. He's still people looking at billboards of Mary Jane and all that stuff because remember he said he didn't he pretended he actually liked her, so he wouldn't put her in harm's way. And basically shows that Peter's life is miserable. He can barely get to class. He's always tired from, doing his late night Spider-Man things. He was late for the Daily Bugle, and Harry hates him because, of course, he thinks Spider-Man killed his dad. So basically, Peter's life is just miserable, and he has a terrible apartment. Yeah. And his landlord is hilarious. Okay, so basically, Spider-Man, if you don't get... Some people who are watching this probably say, what? Who's the landlord guy? So he's basically a guy that... He's like a meme now. It's Spider-Man's landlord that always says, rent. I want rent. I don't know, it don't seem that funny how I'm saying it, but watch the movie. It's hilarious. Yeah, because I can't really explain it, how funny, because I can't really explain funny, but you just gonna have to watch it and see what I'm talking about. If you see a guy that always says, I want rent, pay attention to that guy because he's pretty hilarious. Yeah. But anyway, Peter's life is just horrible. And for some reason, okay, I'm just going to talk about this one nitpick that I have. So Spider-Man has trouble, right? Apparently he's losing his powers. Yeah. He loses his powers in this movie because he's mad. Which it don't make any sense. It would make more sense if Doc Ock would actually take away his powers, but he's just losing his powers because he's mad. Yeah, his powers apparently just loses his powers because he's mad. What? That's kind of stupid. And he had a dream that he's Spider-Man no more. That he basically talks to Uncle Ben in his daydreaming state, and he's like saying, "I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore. I want a life of my own and be a Mary Jane." Which I'm just saying that don't make any sense. Just because a person is mad to lose their superpowers, it's like a Superman in the first. It's like in Superman 2. If Superman just saw Zod and his powers just suddenly stopped working. I mean, that movie made more sense of the fact that he actually gave up his powers in that movie to be with Lois Lane. If they could have done with that route, but I guess they didn't want to rip off Superman 2, which is another good epic movie. But still, it's just stupid. That's just a pet peeve that I always had with that movie. Yeah. Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus. Have Mercy is still good. I'm not gonna spoil it, but something happens with him in Spider-Man No Way Home that you have to see. It's just like his character is even cooler than the last time we saw him. Because I like it because he's not just a stereotypical supervillain. He had a wife. He was a normal guy. It's just that his calculations was wrong about he's trying to create this tritium that will give power to the whole city, but it almost blew up the whole city. So it actually, okay, so he's funded by Oscorp. Okay, Harry's there. He's still a Spider-Man. He said this doesn't change anything. But anyway, Spider-Man goes to the demonstration. Well, he changes to Spider-Man, unplugs it, but actually leads to the death of his wife. That kind of drives him a little bit insane. And then he basically passes out, gets free. And then he, because the thing, Dr. Octopus's arms, he made it to hold the tritium thingy, but it destroyed, so the arms were controlling him. So he just said, okay, I want to rebuild the tritium thingy. And basically he says, nothing will stop me, nothing. And I like it because he actually has ties to Peter Parker, like Goblin did. So it kind of makes it a little bit more interesting that the guy he admired is now a supervillain. And he handled it really well. And then he decided to just finish the experiment. He said, nothing will stop me, nothing. So he basically becomes a supervillain. Which he's not evil, but it's just that he's a scientist who's just so determined to do anything, put things together. Like, yeah, he's not going to let a little thing like radiation stop him from getting his experiments. Basically, I can say that this Dr. Octopus is a completionist. Because, he wanted to build it, but it got destroyed, but he still wants to build it. My point is, he is a completionist. He wanted to complete his experiment. Even if it is the death of millions. Yeah, he don't care. So, Spider-Man loses his power. It's dumb. Mary Jane is still not going to be with him. He thought Mary Jane would be him after that. There's actually a deleted scene with Mary Jane, which makes more sense why she decided to leave her wedding and be with Peter. Which, it just made more sense. Fun fact, the guy who plays her fiance in the movie before she gets with Peter, he's actually, Elijah in Originals. If you don't know what Originals is, a spinoff of Vampire Diaries. People that have seen it, yeah, that's him. Yeah, I didn't know that. I was pretty shocked. I was like, oh, it's him. Because at that point, I had never seen Originals. Maybe the first couple of times I've seen this movie. And then I saw it again and said, oh, that's him. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. So it's basic. This movie's just so good. My favorite part is when he finally gets his powers back. It's a stupid reason. And I'm glad they hint to the fact Aunt May knows Spider-Man's identity. She doesn't say it, but it's obvious that she knows. Especially when she says, I believe there's a hero in all of us. And she's just looking at Peter like, I know you're Spider-Man, but I'm not going to tell you. So I feel like Spider-Man 3 would have been a different movie. I feel like Aunt May would have just told Peter that she knows. Or the fact that they almost made Spider-Man 4. Yeah, that movie almost happened. Yeah. And I feel like if they ever made Spider-Man 4, I know not with Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. They might make a fourth one with Tom Holland Spider-Man. I don't know. I'm just saying maybe. But I'm just saying that maybe she would have told him in the fourth movie. But yeah. But anyway, this train scene, Peter finally gets his powers back. And he's just so pissed. He's just like, where's Mary Jane? Of course, you don't know it's Dr. Octopus, even though he's just wearing stupid glasses. But I guess it's like the same Superman situation. How can you not know Clark Kent's Superman? He's just wearing glasses. I'm wearing glasses. Do I look like somebody else? No. Still look like the same person. But it's just, or like the Hannah Montana situation. She's just wearing a wig. Yeah. But anyways, he's basically fighting everybody. And it just basically shows how acrobatic Spider-Man is. Because we didn't really get that in the first one. At the end, we saw him punch somebody, but this one you really see him flipping and really swinging to fight people. But it basically shows the acrobatics and strength of Spider-Man. Because, dang, they both wreck shop on each other. And when, Dr. Octopus was just throwing people, Spider-Man just kept catching the trained personnel, throwing them, and put them in a web, giant web, like how he shot a spider web. That's what I'm saying. Because he just kept throwing them, catch them, throw them. It basically looked like a video game, but a cool video game that's not cheap. But anyway, I'm just saying, that's the best scene. I get why people like it. It's just awesome. And when Spider-Man just holds the train, and he... the funny thing about that thing is, when he's holding the train, and he's basically trying to hold it together, he looks like he's pooping on himself. He's like... It's kind of hilarious. And he kept doing it until he just passed out. And like Sean Chandler says, he's another good reviewer that you should check out. But anyway, he kept saying that the city is like a character in this movie. The city is rooting for Spider-Man. Because there were people on the train, they could have told people. And they could have told people that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. And he said, just a kid, not too older than my son. Even though he was actually 26, playing 18-year-old. Who cares? Or he was somewhere in his 20s. But anyway, they could have just told people that, ooh, Spider-Man is Peter Parker, Spider-Man is Peter Parker. No. So yeah, I'm glad the city's on Spider-Man's side in these movies. Yeah. And I like how the city's like a character. It's like its own entity that can, be lived in. Like it feels like a lived in real world. So that's cool. Yeah, and I'm glad Spider-Man is actually from a real city. I just because it is New York, and it's just, I don't know. It just shows the realness of New York. That the fact that some people in New York are just horrible people. Some of them are naturally good people. And you just don't see too many people like that anymore. I mean, there's still good people, but I'm just saying that there's some people that just have issues and all that stuff. But yeah, I like how the city is basically its own entity. And, actually seeing everybody hate Spider-Man for 5 minutes. That's basically what you see in Spider-Man now. Everybody hates Spider-Man. Yeah. So he's just like, Spider-Man's just like, oh, I can finally catch a break. Because he probably was like, crap, these people are going to tell people my identity. Aunt May's going to be in trouble. Mary Jane is going to be in trouble. Harry, who basically is mad at me, will be in trouble. That's what he basically looked like. And when they basically say, we won't tell everybody, he just has a sigh of relief, like, whew, okay. And the people are just protecting him when Dr. Octopus comes. And he basically say, no, I can handle this. And then, yeah. And then Harry finding out Peter was Spider-Man because he captured him. And he said, who takes pictures of Spider-Man? Peter Parker. And he finds out Peter's Spider-Man. He's like shocked. He said, my best friend, my friend I knew since I was a kid, killed my father. And we know Spider-Man did it, but Harry thinks so. And he keeps saying, this is not about you and me. I have to save Mary Jane before Dr. Octopus blows up the city. So I just like that element. And the fact that this has a post-credit scene of, Harry becoming a supervillain. It's not a spoiler. At this point, who hasn't seen Spider-Man 3? For better or worse, everyone has probably seen that movie. Yeah. I mean, probably not, too many kids from my generation. Yeah, that's just because I've watched a lot of movies in my life. Yeah. It's not the movie that got me into Spider-Man. I just like it. I've watched it a lot. So I get the post-credit scene and all that stuff. But I'm just saying, some of my generation probably has never seen this movie. I'm saying some because it's probably people my age that actually have seen Spider-Man 3. But we're getting off topic here, because he's going to become a goblin person. And he keeps seeing his father in the mirror. And he's basically saying, "Avenge me! No!" And he sees Green Goblin's lair. But he was going to show that Harry becomes. I feel like he could have been the main villain in Spider-Man 3, but whatever at this point. You gotta let it go. I mean, we have Tom Hardy. He's a better villain than Topher Grace, so, yeah. So basically, Peter, goes to the thing when Mary Jane is captured. He fights Dr. Octopus, and he electrocutes him. So Dr. Octopus is back to being Otto Octavius. He said, "Don't let the arms control you." And basically he says, we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most. Because that's what Aunt May told him, that everybody needs a hero. And she has a neighbor who's a kid named Henry that loves Spider-Man. And he says, and basically she says, Henry, that's what Spider-Man did for him. He showed him that, even without superpowers, you can be like a hero or something. But anyway, it's basically hinting that she knows she's Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man. And, okay, before we go back to that scene with Dr. Octopus, let me tell you about this scene. So Spider-Man is about to jump off a building because he thinks his powers are back. He falls and he hurts his back. Okay, so in real life, Tobey Maguire actually got in an accident that he was in the hospital for a while. He was injured and his back was hurting. So when he got better, they decided to keep the scene of him hurting his back in the movie, but in the context of the movie, him jumping off a building and then holding his back. So, yeah. I just wanted to say that because I just thought it was kind of interesting. Yeah, but he definitely doesn't get injured like Tom Cruise. How many times does Tom Cruise get injured? Because, he basically like his own stunts, and people thought Tom Cruise is crazy. Yeah, he's a little crazy, but who cares? I feel like I like how he's just so determined to make the the audience, like his movie so much. But still, I'm just glad that's in the movie. Okay, back to Dr. Octopus finding Spider-Man. But anyway, he's basically he's back to being Otto Octavius. And basically, Peter's like, "How do I stop it? You put it in the river. I'll do it." So basically, he holds up, basically says, "I will not die a monster." Which, I feel like that's I feel like that's like the second best line in a Marvel movie or TV show. My favorite is when the Loki TV show and old Loki basically says, "Glorious purpose," and basically gets killed by the thing that was created by, spoiler alert, He Who Remains, or Kang, or Mortis. You know what I'm talking about. The black guy at the end of the Loki show. Yeah, he will be in Ant-Man and the Wasp 3. Just so you know. My point is, it's Alioth. That's the thing that was created by Kang. But anyway, it was like old Loki trying to be redeemed and all that stuff because, he basically left during his version of Avengers Endgame. But anyway, get back to the thingy. So he basically said I would not die a monster, but he actually dies in the river and just blows up. And Mary Jane is finding out Peter's Spider-Man. She's like, she has a sigh of relief too. Like he said, "Oh, that's why you pretended you didn't like me and all that stuff." Yeah. And some of these scenes we actually see Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, that movie mentions so many Spider-Man movies. Every movie until The Amazing Spider-Man. Because they're not going to mention Amazing Spider-Man 2. That movie's just way too bad. Even now, we have another Spider-Man movie. The Amazing Spider-Man is still a bad movie. So basically, Peter saved Mary Jane, and, he said, "I can't be with you because if my enemies found out, they would, try to use her against them." But anyway, he basically swings away, and her fiance was looking for her too. But anyway, by the end, you know, she doesn't go to her wedding. And then instead, she just goes to Peter Parker. And basically, Spider-Man swings away. So yeah, I would give this movie, like, I don't know, give it, like, maybe A. Like, okay, I don't like Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane. That was a terrible casting choice. Worst casting, other than the fact that David Hasselhoff almost was Nick Fury. Yeah, there was a Nick Fury movie from 1998 with David Hasselhoff. No, it was not good. I heard it was horrible. No, don't watch that movie. Good. Thank God we have Samuel L. Jackson Nick Fury, because dang, he was a white guy for most of the Marvel cartoons. X-Men the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series. Wait, I know he wasn't X-Men the animated series. Spider-Man the animated series, Spider-Man Unlimited. Oh, and X-Men Evolution. All those shows, he was a white guy, but still. Thanks you for watching. Please watch this movie, and please watch Justice League, Justice Society World War II, so we can get more movies like that. Because that was a good movie. I feel like people should watch that. Please watch that. You'll be entertained. Trust me. I liked Wonder Woman. It has kind of like the vein of that movie. But yeah, if you don't like these DC animated movies that are coming out now, they're not kid movies. They're not like those Lego crap. But please watch that movie, and please, if you haven't seen this movie, please watch Spider-Man 2, Just Like World War 2. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. Okay, bye. Yeah, I will do other videos eventually, but thanks for watching. Bye.